We need transport.
Got to get out of there. All right, actual, you need to head left. Okay.
What the?
Hell out of there right now.
Yeah, no shit!
The target location, Bravo 268 is 115, Bravo 28, on site, fully on.
We're working on it!
Final approach 450.
Got to get out of there. We got this!
Yeah, I need a gun.
No, you're staying in the helo. Marty, incoming!
Their ass.
It's okay. We are you.
Can we just slow this down for just a second?
The world doesn't end on a schedule.
we're-
Contacted as soon as you land.
Some of these guys are.
The white spikes. If it's lost, the war is lost. 1 minute to jump. Above the ground.
That should be fun. Flip it around like that. Home. Long story.
40 seconds.
Of course it had to be a beach.
Launch. Should we abort?
Welcome to Miami.
Need to move fast.
Drive everything!
Those blue ampules from Lab 2.
I see something. What, like white spikes?
We'll dump
What are you looking at?
12 Dan.
All right, ready the extraction team. We need to get him.
Me? On the laboratory at the 7th floor.
These bombs are gonna
Fix it.
Head to the loading dock at the back and now.
You heard the colonel. We need transport.
got to get out of there.
Jesus. Can't be anymore, that's for sure.
The female been sedated.
You're in the cage.
Roger, well.
right now.
We have to kill her!
I understand.
You have got to.
I'm taking Dana Viper 1. All This is Colonel Forrester. Have a working...
Standing by on pad 2.
Colonel! Start evac. This toxin has got to go back on the...
Viper 1 copy. Be advised.
We're almost there.
Colonel, meet me at the helipad on ring.
I need you to move. We got 3.
My man brought the whole earth.
I'm gonna fuck. Having the bullet goes in thinking everybody's sucked out. Move, the magnetic flight.
Might as well be.
Approach in the northwest.
Go! We'll get the ones in the ship.
Take this. No one's hiding today. Charlie.
Charlie! Dad! Light him up! I'm gonna die!
Got one!
Yeah, he did.
Red belly.
Shoot. Your hands are shaking.
I'm fine. This is the one thing I'm good at.
To the left ridge, mind the horizon. Dan.
Surprise, dumbass.
Hey guys, today we're diving headfirst into a flick that asks the age-old question, what if your future self needed you to save them? But you're just a science teacher who can't even get his own experiments to work half the time. We're talking about the Tomorrow War, a wild ride that mixes family drama with aliens who apparently missed the memo on personal space. So grab your popcorn, maybe a future-proof vest, and let's get into the nitty-gritty of how humanity almost got its cosmic eviction notice. I put a lot of work into these, so if you like what you see, a like and a subscribe is always appreciated. No worries if not. Our story opens with Dan Forrester, a genuinely good guy, whose biggest daily challenge is getting teenagers to care about covalent bonds. He's a former Green Beret, a loving husband to Emmy, and an amazing dad to his daughter Maury. Life's pretty sweet, albeit a little mundane for someone who clearly has more action hero potential than he realizes. He's got his family, his steady, if not thrilling job, and a generally optimistic outlook, even if he feels a tad unfulfilled. It's Christmas. And Dan's got the World Cup final on, probably thinking about how he could totally coach that team to victory if he wasn't stuck in a classroom. But then boom, the game is interrupted, not by a penalty kick controversy, but by a shimmering blue portal tearing open in the sky above the stadium. Out of this rather dramatic entrance fall soldiers, but not just any soldiers. These guys look like they stepped right out of a sci-fi blockbuster, complete with sleek armor and laser rifles. Talk about a disruptive influence on your holiday cheer. The roar of the crowd quickly turns into screams of terror as humanity gets its first taste of a reality-bending crisis. This isn't just a sports upset. It's a cosmic curveball. Soon after, one of these time-traveling warriors, Lieutenant Hart, makes a rather urgent announcement to the United Nations. Turns out, they're from 30 years in the future, 2051 to be precise, and things are looking bleak. Like, humanity is almost entirely wiped out by incredibly nasty aliens. Bleak. The only way to win this tomorrow war is to recruit soldiers from the past or present because, apparently, future resources are just too scarce. The news hits like a ton of bricks. The world is plunged into chaos and disbelief. Imagine hearing your grandchildren are literally fighting for their lives against something called white spikes, and they need you to go save them. This whole "we need you to fight for your future" vibe is less inspiring and more terrifying, especially when the future looks like a particularly gnarly alien buffet. The world understandably freaks out. News channels are ablaze, protests erupt, and governments scramble to make sense of this utterly unprecedented situation. The solution? A global draft. But here's the kicker. They're not drafting actual soldiers from the present. Oh no, that would be too logical. Instead, they're drafting civilians who are already dead in the future. Their logic is that sending people who are alive in 2051 could create some kind of devastating paradox. So, they grab regular folks, give them a crash course in not dying, and then shunt them off to a future where death by alien monster is a daily forecast. It's a logistical nightmare with a side of existential dread, leaving everyone wondering if this future isn't just delaying the inevitable, but actually accelerating it for a whole new generation. Our hero, Dan, tries to get a research job at a prestigious university, but it falls through. He feels that familiar sting of professional disappointment, a common human experience. But then, just as he's probably thinking about how to make his backyard grill future-proof, his draft notice arrives. It's a cold, impersonal piece of paper, telling him he has exactly 7 days to report for duty to a war that hasn't even happened yet, against aliens he can barely even conceptualize. The sound of the paper rustling seems to echo the sudden, stark shift in his carefully constructed, predictable life. His past military service, which he probably thought was safely behind him, has made him a prime candidate for this future meat grinder. The irony isn't lost on him. He couldn't get a job in research, but he's apparently perfectly qualified to be alien fodder. Dan struggles to explain this impossible situation to Emmy and Maury, his daughter. Maury innocently asks if he'll be home for Christmas, a question that lands like a punch to the gut. The system has a chilling workaround for draft dodgers. If you refuse, they just draft someone else from your family who's alive in the future. It's a ruthless system designed to ensure compliance, leaving Dan with no real choice. The sound of his own shaky voice as he tries to reassure his family about a future he has no control over is heart-wrenching. He has to go. It's not about patriotism. It's about protecting his family, ensuring they aren't forced to make the same impossible sacrifice. The air in the room is thick with unspoken fear and the heavy weight of an inevitable separation. At the draft center, Dan finds himself surrounded by thousands of other unwilling recruits, all processing the same terrifying reality. There's a distinct murmur of anxiety, punctuated by nervous coughs and the occasional sob. They all get strapped with a jump link device, a glowing blue bracelet that will literally tear them from their present and fling them into 2051. It's a one-way ticket, at least for now. He meets Charlie, a goofy, conspiracy theory-loving recruit, and Dorian, a hardened veteran of multiple deployments who is clearly just counting down the days until his next bear. These to provide a sliver of dark humor and camaraderie in an otherwise sterile and utterly frightening environment. The whole process feels less like military recruitment and more like a cattle call for an interstellar slaughter. Their training is a whirlwind, a desperate attempt to turn civilians into capable soldiers in mere days. They're taught how to handle futuristic firearms, how to survive, and, most importantly, how to kill the white spikes. The sounds of simulated gunfire and gruff instructors barking orders fill the air. It's clear this isn't about precision. It's about survival by sheer brute force and numbers. The instructors are visibly exhausted, their faces etched with the strain of this absurd situation. The jump link is activated, the blue light pulsing, marking the final moments before their lives are irrevocably altered. The atmosphere is thick with a mixture of fear, resignation, and a grim determination. It's like the worst field trip ever, where the destination is literally hell. The moment of the jump is pure chaos. Instead of a nice, orderly deployment, something goes horribly wrong. The recruits are scattered mid-jump, plummeting from what looks like low orbit towards a destroyed Miami. The wind whips past their faces, the ground rushing up at an alarming rate, and the screams of his fellow recruits fill the air. It's a terrifying baptism by fire, or rather, by gravity. Dan manages a partial save, deploying his parachute at the last second, but his landing is still rough, a jarring thud against a ruined cityscape. He sees the remnants of skyscrapers, twisted metal, and the eerie silence of a truly dead city, punctuated only by the distant sounds of battle. This isn't the future they were promised. It's a war zone, and they've just been dropped right into the thick of it without a tour guide. Dan and a handful of survivors find themselves stranded on a crumbling rooftop, surrounded by the skeletal remains of buildings. Before they can even catch their breath, the white spikes appear. These aren't your typical movie monsters. They're vicious, fast, and armed with multiple razor-sharp limbs, capable of tearing through armor like it's tissue paper. Their piercing, guttural screeches echo through the desolate city. It's a frantic, desperate fight for survival. The crack of laser fire is barely audible over the thumping footsteps and the wet, tearing sounds of alien claws. Dan witnesses firsthand the utter brutality of these creatures, his combat instincts, long dormant, kicking into overdrive as he tries to protect his squad from the relentless onslaught. This isn't a training exercise. This is real, messy, terrifying war, and they're woefully unprepared. A desperate attempt to evacuate from the rooftop goes sideways. Their rescue chopper, piloted by a nervous young woman, is hit. The sound of the explosion is deafening, followed by the sickening lurch of the aircraft as it plummets towards the ocean. Dan and the others find themselves sinking into the inky depths, struggling to free themselves from the submerged wreckage. The pressure is immense, and the cold water invades every inch. It's a harrowing escape, filled with muffled shouts and the desperate thrashing of limbs. The white spikes, ever present, haunt them even underwater, their shadowy forms darting through the gloom. It's a moment where Dan's former military training truly shines. His focus and calm under pressure guiding him through the watery gray. After an arduous swim, Dan and the few remaining survivors finally make it to the main base, a sprawling, fortified complex buzzing with activity. It's a grim, militarized future, where every face tells a story of loss and exhaustion. The air thrums with the constant hum of machinery and the distant echoes of explosions. It's here that Dan is introduced to the base commander, a stern, capable woman who radiates authority and a quiet weariness. Her name, Colonel Maury Forrester. The name itself is a shock, a sudden, unexpected jolt of recognition. The visual of her face, with those familiar eyes, causes a deep, unsettling feeling within Dan. This encounter is heavy with unspoken implications, leaving Dan with a profound sense of unease and a gnawing curiosity about who this powerful woman really is. In a tense, quiet moment, the truth is finally dropped. Colonel Maury Forrester reveals that she is, in fact, Dan's daughter from the future, the same Maury he said goodbye to just a few days ago in his timeline. The weight of this revelation is palpable. Dan's heart aches, seeing the woman his little girl has become hardened, brilliant, and burdened by the horrors of this war. The irony is excruciating. He came to save a future that his own daughter is leading, all while he's just trying to survive. This moment redefines his entire mission, transforming it from a general fight for humanity into a deeply personal quest to save his own flesh and blood. The sound of her voice, so similar yet so different, cracks the shield of his military resolve, reminding him of the family he left behind and the daughter he now has to fight for into timelines. It's a gut-wrenching twist that adds layers of emotional complexity to his already impossible situation. Mori lays out the grim reality. Humanity is losing badly. The white spikes, with their terrifying agility and numbers, are systematically wiping them out. Their only hope lies in a new weapon, a toxin that can specifically target and kill the female white spikes, the queens, which are the linchpins of their terrifying reproductive cycle. The male spikes, though dangerous, are secondary. The plan is a desperate long shot, requiring incredibly precise chemistry and even more precise deployment. The air in the briefing room is heavy with the gravity of their situation, punctuated by the faint, rhythmic thumping of distant explosions. Dan listens, his mind racing, trying to reconcile the image of his little Mori with this hardened commander, all while processing the sheer impossibility of their task. It's a crash course in advanced alien biology and desperate warfare, all rolled into one. The next step is incredibly risky. They need to capture a live female white spike. This isn't just a monster hunt. It's a scientific expedition into pure terror. Dan and Mori lead the mission, moving through the ravaged landscape with practiced caution. The sounds of their boots crunching on debris are amplified by the tense silence, always on edge for the sudden shriek of an alien. They manage to corner one, and the ensuing battle is fierce. The queen is faster, stronger, and far more cunning than the males. The metallic clang of weapons against the alien's chitinous hide, the furious roars of the creature, and the shouts of the soldiers create a cacophony of fear and determination. Finally, through teamwork and sheer brute force, they manage to cage the beast. It's a temporary victory, but a crucial one, giving Mori the biological material she needs to synthesize the deadly toxin. The adrenaline is still coursing, but the relief is immense. Back at the lab, a makeshift fortress of scientific ingenuity, Mori dedicates herself to developing the toxin. Dan, with his science background, assists where he can, providing a grounded, practical approach to her brilliant but frantic work. The lab buzzes with the hum of machinery, the soft clinks of glassware, and the low murmur of their scientific discussions. Mori, driven by the desperation of their situation, tirelessly analyzes the creature's unique biology, seeking its fatal weakness. The air is thick with the scent of chemicals and the metallic tang of alien samples. Finally, after intense effort, she synthesizes a silver liquid, the potent toxin. It's a moment of profound scientific breakthrough, a glimmer of hope in a world shrouded in despair. This liquid, seemingly innocuous, represents their last, best chance against an overwhelming alien threat. With the toxin ready, the real challenge begins, deploying it. The plan is to infiltrate the primary white spike breeding ground and inject the toxin directly into the queens. It's a suicide mission, plain and simple, and everyone knows it. The silence in the briefing room is heavy, broken only by the click of safeties on their futuristic weapons. Dan and Mori share a look, a silent understanding of the immense stakes and the potential for ultimate sacrifice. The metallic tang of fear and determination hangs in the air. The sound of their boots echoing through the sterile hallways as they march towards their transport is a drumbeat of destiny. This isn't just about saving humanity. It's about a father trying to save his daughter's future, and a daughter trying to complete her life's work. The personal stakes are astronomically high, adding an unbearable weight to every step. They enter the breeding ground, a truly grotesque subterranean lair teeming with thousands of dormant white spikes, hanging in cocoons like some twisted, alien fruit. The air is thick, humid, and smells faintly of decay and something sickly sweet. A truly unsettling olfactory experience. Every shadow seems to hold a hidden threat. Every rustle of alien material sends a jolt of adrenaline through their veins. They move with agonizing slowness, trying not to disturb the sleeping beasts, their flashlights cutting through the oppressive darkness. The only sounds are their own ragged breaths and the faint scuttling of unseen creatures. It's an exercise in extreme tension, knowing that one wrong move, one misplaced footstep, could awaken the entire horrifying horde. Dan can feel the constant thrum of his own heartbeat, a frantic counterpoint to the deafening silence of the alien nest. It's a sight that would make even the bravest soldier question their sanity. Deep within the lair, they find the Alpha Queen, a monstrously huge white spike. The apparent matriarch of the entire invasion. She's bigger, uglier, and somehow even more terrifying than any of them could have imagined. Her guttural roars echo through the cavern, shaking the very ground beneath their feet. A chaotic battle erupts, laser fire scorching the alien flesh, but the queen is relentless, her multiple limbs tearing through their defenses. The screams of falling soldiers and the metallic clang of weapons against chitin create a symphony of desperate combat. Dan, fueled by his fierce love for his daughter and the desperate hope for humanity, makes a final, desperate lunge. He jams the syringe, filled with the precious silver toxin, deep into the Alpha Queen's flesh. The creature recoils, letting out a blood-curdling shriek as the poison begins its work, her massive body convulsing, signaling a potential turning point in this seemingly endless war. He feels the sting of cuts and scrapes, the throb of exhaustion, but also a surge of fierce satisfaction, with the Alpha Queen dealt with. Murray reveals the heartbreaking truth: her jump link is broken, and she can't return to the past with him. Her time is limited, a devastating truth for Dan to process. He pleads with her, tries to find a way, but she is resolute, her eyes filled with a sad resolve. The thrum of the activated jump link, meant to take Dan home, serves as a cruel countdown to their final goodbye. She gives him a final, tearful hug, urging him to return to his own time and find a way to stop this war before it even begins, to save their future. Then, with a forceful push, she shoves him through the shimmering blue portal. The image of her face, filled with love and sacrifice, burned into his memory. The whoosh of the temporal displacement is disorienting, and he's left with the metallic taste of loss and a renewed, profound purpose. It's a moment that rips your heart out truly. Dan crashes back into his own timeline, waking up on a beach, disoriented and covered in sand. The mundane sounds of crashing waves and distant seagulls are a stark contrast to the alien screeches he just left behind. He's alive, but the future, and his daughter, are still very much in danger. The emotional toll of his journey is evident in his hollow eyes and the tremor in his hands. He's a survivor, yes, but also a man haunted by the sacrifices he witnessed and the impossible goodbye he shared with his adult daughter. The weight of his experience makes the familiar world feel alien, and he grapples with the immense secret and the almost unbearable burden of having to save a future that hasn't even happened yet. It's like coming back from a particularly brutal camping trip, only instead of mosquitoes, you were fighting interdimensional monsters. Back in his own time, Dan's mind is racing. The future soldiers had said the white spikes appeared suddenly in 2048, but if Murray's antidote worked, how could they have just materialized? He begins to connect the dots, realizing a terrifying truth: the white spikes didn't arrive in the future. They've been here all along, dormant, hidden. The news reports he's watching, with their frantic speculation, only reinforce his growing suspicion. The thought hits him like a bolt of lightning. If they weren't from another galaxy, then where did they come from? The question shifts from when did they come, to where were they hidden? This realization turns the entire premise of the war on its head, revealing an even more insidious threat lurking just beneath humanity's nose. It's a plot twist that makes you slap your forehead and say, of course. To uncover the truth and prevent the future war, Dan realizes he needs help from the last person he probably wants to ask: his estranged, off-the-grid, conspiracy theorist father, James Forrester. Their relationship is, let's just say, complicated, built on years of resentment and unspoken pain. Dan finds his father in his remote, heavily fortified garage, a haven of paranoid preparedness. He tries to explain the impossible truth: time travel, aliens, and the fact that his father's estranged son has just returned from a future that never should happen. The sound of their strained voices fills the small space, a mix of old wounds and new, unbelievable revelations. James, naturally, is skeptical, but Dan's raw emotion and the undeniable truth in his eyes slowly begin to chip away at his father's hardened exterior. It's an awkward family reunion, to say the least, but a vital one. Convinced, James agrees to help. Dan then rounds up the last two people you'd expect on a world-saving mission: the endearing, but somewhat bumbling, conspiracy theorist Charlie, and the world-weary, slightly cynical Dorian, who just wanted to get back to his beer. They commandeer a plane, forging paperwork, and set off for the Arctic, the location Dan deduced as the most likely origin point for the white spikes. The sounds of the plane engines hum a monotonous drone as they fly over vast, desolate icy landscapes. The air inside the cabin is thick with a nervous camaraderie and a shared sense of impending doom. It's a rogue mission, completely off the books, putting their lives and what's left of humanity's future on the line based on a hunch and a whole lot of faith. What could possibly go wrong when a science teacher, a conspiracy theorist, a former military dad, and a guy who just wants to get drunk walk into the Arctic? After navigating treacherous ice fields and battling extreme weather, they discover an enormous, ancient alien spacecraft, half buried in the ice, a chilling testament to Dan's theory. The cold, biting wind howls around them, emphasizing the isolation and the sheer, overwhelming scale of their discovery. The metallic gleam of the alien ship, partially exposed, is both awe-inspiring and terrifying. This isn't a recent arrival. It's been here for thousands of years, a silent, frozen tomb holding humanity's ultimate enemy. The discovery confirms Dan's worst fears. The white spikes aren't invaders from space. They're an indigenous problem, awakened by humanity's own blunders. The crunch of their boots on the icy surface and the distant groans of the shifting ice create an ominous soundtrack to their perilous exploration. It's like finding a really old, really nasty present that's been waiting for you inside the ship. They find the nightmare frozen in time, thousands upon thousands of white spikes, encased in ice, in a state of suspended animation. The cavernous interior of the ship is an alien sarcophagus, an eerie, silent graveyard of their future tormentors. But as they investigate, the creatures begin to stir. The sound of cracking ice, followed by the terrifying, piercing screeches of awakening white spikes, fills the ship. It's a cacophony of pure horror. The glowing red eyes of the aliens pierce the gloom, and the air immediately fills with the frantic shouts of the team and the rapid succession of laser fire. The realization hits them with a sickening thud. They didn't just find the problem, they woke it up. Now, a desperate fight for survival erupts in the claustrophobic confines of the alien vessel. The fate of all humanity resting on their ability to put these things back to sleep permanently. The ship becomes a battleground. Dan, his father Charlie, and Dorian fight tooth and nail against the swarming white spikes. The crackle of their energy weapons echoes through the alien corridors, mingling with the screams of the creatures and the desperate shouts of the team. Dorian, the seasoned veteran, makes a heroic sacrifice, taking down a massive number of spikes, ensuring his friends can continue. Charlie, despite his earlier quirks, proves surprisingly effective in a pinch. Dan and his father push towards the ship's control center, knowing they have to destroy the entire breeding ground. The sounds of their heavy breathing, the thumping footsteps of the aliens, and the crunch of alien chitin underfoot create a symphony of desperate survival. This isn't just a fight. It's an all-or-nothing gamble, where failure means the end of everything. They manage to plant explosives, transforming the alien ship into a ticking time bomb. But, of course, there's one last, ridiculously oversized Alpha Queen to deal with. It's a visceral, messy fight. Dan's father, James, uses his lifetime of military experience, honed by years of trying to be ready for the big one, to distract the beast. His crack shots and tactical maneuvering, long underestimated, are now humanity's last hope. Dan uses the opportunity to finish planting the last charges. The roars of the Alpha Queen, the thud of its enormous limbs, and the frantic beeping of the detonator create an unforgettable symphony of imminent destruction. With a final push, they detonate the explosives. The ground shakes, the ice cracks, and the alien ship, along with its horrifying cargo, is engulfed in a fiery explosion, signifying the eradication of the white spike threat from Earth's history. It's a big win, and the silence that follows is absolutely deafening, heavy with both relief and the profound cost of victory. Dan returns home, a changed man. The war never happens. Murray grows up in a world free of alien monsters, and the future he fought so hard for is finally secure. He embraces Emmy and Maury, the warmth of their hugs a stark contrast to the icy grip of the Arctic. The sound of his daughter's laughter, now truly innocent, is music to his ears. He shares a quiet, understanding nod with his father, their relationship mended by shared trauma and heroic deeds. The future he saved is bright, full of possibilities, but the scars of his journey remain, a testament to the impossible choices and unimaginable sacrifices. He's no longer just a science teacher. He's a savior, a hero who literally traveled through time to ensure his daughter's future, something every parent secretly wishes they could do. And for once, the world is quiet, just the way it should be. And so, Dan Forrester, the reluctant hero, gets to live out his days knowing he's saved his daughter and countless others. The weight of the future war is lifted, and in its place is a profound appreciation for the simple, beautiful present. He holds his daughter, knowing she'll grow up free, a future scientist perhaps, but one without the burden of fighting an impossible war. His bond with his father, once broken, is now undeniably strong, forged in the crucible of shared sacrifice. It's a powerful reminder that even when the future seems set, one person, driven by love, can change the course of destiny. It shows us that heroism isn't just about fighting monsters. It's about fighting for what truly matters, for family, for hope, and for a tomorrow that's worth fighting for. May we all find the courage to face our own tomorrow wars with such determination.